So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media Interview, recorded live on blogtalkradio.com on May 28th, 2008. I'm a lucky guy. Last December, I received an email from a woman named Amy Domestico inviting me to bring my podcast, Mr. Media, to a relatively new media site called Blog Talk Radio. We exchanged some emails and finally talked on the phone. Up until that point, I recorded my interviews over the telephone on a digital tape recorder and uploaded them to the internet and my website, www.mrmedia.com. And yes, that is a plug. The system worked, but it was clunky and excluded listener participation. I agreed to try one interview on Blog Talk Radio on one-day notice. It was with the producer of a small indie film called Nemesis. I told him about Blog Talk Radio, what I knew and understood of it at the time, and said if it didn't work, we could do a do-over. Well, not only did it work, but he even convinced the star of his film to call in as a surprise guest. Well, I don't think I've done an interview the old-fashioned way since then. That's why joining me today is one of my new media heroes, Alan Levy, founder of blogtalkradio.com. Alan, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me on your show on my network.
Well, it's the least I could do, you know. It's my pleasure. I think it's overdue. 5 or 6 months ago, you actually had me on your show when I was just getting started out, and I've been looking for a good opportunity to return the favor. So thanks for being here today.
It is my pleasure to be here.
So where did the idea for BTR, where did it come from? What were you doing at the time that made you think, hey, we should do radio on the Internet?
Well, my background is in telecommunications. I was in the telecom business in the mid-'90s, so a lot of experience in telecom. And my father, and I sold my company in the end of 1999, which worked out pretty well. My dad became ill with lymphoma in March 2006. He had cancer. It was his third time, and I decided to create a blog for him. I didn't have a blog before. I didn't really know what a blog was, but I was told, and I read about them and saw that they were really becoming an increasing force and so on. So I created a blog for him, which still exists to this day. And I was fascinated by this new medium. I mean, 60, 70 million blogs at the time were being tracked by Technorati. And I said, wow, this is interesting. They're talking about politics, sports, and media, and movies, and gardening, and everything. And everyone's talking about conversation, that they're having them, but I don't hear any. So I said, wouldn't it be interesting if we can create a platform where bloggers can host their own talk shows? Or, in fact, anyone, by simply using a phone. And that's how the idea of Blog Talk Radio was created.
It is a very daunting thing for people who are kind of outside of technology, and they've been hearing about blogs and they're hearing about podcasts. It seems like there's kind of a bubble or a hill you have to climb to get the hang of it. Is that still the case?
Well, when I first got exposed to it, I really didn't know much. I didn't even know what a podcast was. I mean, my objective at Blog Talk Radio was to provide a platform, number one, that anyone could use to create content. Number two, that did not require a download. I didn't want anyone to download anything. And I wanted to have unlimited listeners. So I wanted to be able to have a conversation like we're having now, and people could just click a button and listen to it without downloading. And lastly, I wanted to record it. What's the point of just having something? Everything's moving on demand. We live in an on-demand world. That recording element, with now what I learned to be an RSS feed, was a podcast. When I got involved, I realized that podcasting, and generally, was very complicated. And it was also very expensive for people. People would get digital equipment, and they need mixers, and it really wasn't interesting. It wasn't live. So I came up with, Blog Talk Radio's concept is so easy. You simply pick up a phone. I'm in New Jersey, and I don't even know where you are, but we're talking on the same call, and callers could participate simply by using a phone. So I think we've made it a lot easier to create content, and accessible for people. I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen such, dramatic increases in users on the site.
It's another great example, I think, of how the Internet becomes the great leveler. I mean, certainly newspapers and magazines are seeing that, in that anyone can go on the Internet and publish. So they can do a website, they can do a blog, and now the next step in that seems to be that anyone can go and do a podcast and probably, and maybe we'll talk about this later, maybe a video podcast. And it seems to me, what I like about it is that it's simplified it. Anyone listening right now, anyone who happens on the site, can be in the podcast business in minutes, really, right?
Yeah, literally. I mean, you could sign up as a host on Blog Talk Radio at 1 o'clock and be on the air by 1:30. And
is this? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, and then you'd be able to just promote your own idea, a book, whatever you may want. So it is a very could be done very quickly.
Is the service today much different than what you envisioned when you started?
Not generally. I mean, we've built a lot more tools. When we first created it, when we first came up with the idea, I said to Bob, my partner, who worked for me in the telecom industry, and I said, Bob, do you think we could do this? He says, I don't know. And my first reaction was, why isn't anyone doing this? Like, why isn't anyone using the phone as a medium for communicating and for creating a media platform? If you think about democratization of media, and we have blogs, and those are typed, and there's text-based, but no one had come up with the idea. So at first it was quite challenging, and it still is challenging to create this type of platform because it's integrated with a phone network, which I happen to own, the phone network aspect of it. So we get the phone side. I mean, that's our business, right, is telecom. So for me, launching a web enabler or Web 2.0 company was a challenge because we had no experience in this space whatsoever. So the early version of Blog Talk Radio, which really lasted from October 2006 to October 2007, one full year, did not include any of the social media tools that are now on the site. For example, the ability to add friends or favorites or the chat tool. So we have been really cleaning up the user interface, and we have a lot more that's coming down now. I mean, we're really building out our searching capabilities and just to make it easier for people to find this content. We have 90,000 shows now in the long tail. It's just incredible stuff, and we need to do a better job of displaying that and explaining what we do and how to find things. So it's kind of close to where we were, but it's just evolving like anything, for the better, I might add.
I want to point out, we've got this is one of the great things to me, is that we've got the simultaneous web chat, and I know that you're in there, so you're seeing these remarks, but we have someone who wanted to let you know how much they love the click-to-talk aspect, and then someone who is at work who wants you to know how much they love BTR.
Oh, thank you very much. You're right there on the web chat yourself. So.
Yes, I am. I'm waving. Hi, everybody in the web chat. Let me get my hand in front. There we go.
Right.
I know that's an innovation since there. Alan just typed a message.
I'm in the chat room right now.
I'm waving on video to everybody.
Right. I see you on video, which is great. So our featured hosts have the video feature, and I'm glad to see that you're using it, which is excellent. The click-to-talk was something that I wanted to have, and we're issuing a press release. We're going to get this out promoted. We wanted to roll it out, and it's been out for about a week now. But what the click-to-talk does is really opens us up internationally. If you have a caller, a guest, someone who's in Italy wanting to reach the show, they don't have to dial a phone number anymore. They can simply click to talk, and that's important. So it's a great feature. I'm glad we're able to do that.
So what's the business angle on this? I mean, a lot of my background is in business writing. I'm trying to think how does Alan Levy make money on this?
Well, there are multiple, really two key ways that we're focused on here at Blog Talk. So as we've been able to gather this content, all right. So we've got an interesting model. We've created an enormous amount of content. We have, as I said, 90,000 shows. 75% of those were listened to at least one time in April, which is really an interesting statistic. Mm-hmm. So the long tail is really at work here. And we've had in excess of 3 million listeners, total downloads and live in the month of May, I would guess. So we're creating a lot of content. We're getting a lot of engagement, and we can also, for advertising purposes, go to advertisers and give them engagement. Very interesting engagement statistics are coming out now. But we can target, moms, political shows, sports bloggers, paranormal, and we can really target what the advertisers are looking for. The other big area that we've launched on the website, you'll see on the navigation bar, is the word stations. This is something that we created about 2 months ago, where we're creating radio stations for companies. And you'll see Sun Microsystems there, the Pentagon is there, and other large organizations are now having the ability to create their own content using our tools, but aggregating this content in their own radio station. So that's something that we're very excited about. We're speaking with magazines, we're speaking with insurance companies that are looking to be part of the conversation. So that's something that we're very much focused on here at Blog Talk.
I know. I thought it was wonderful. I guess it was the 1st of January when you opened up a revenue sharing program for hosts. I'm kind of curious. I mean, are many of the hosts taking advantage of that? I've actually talked to a few who didn't, and I thought, well, why not?
Right. Well, we do have a fair number. We probably have over 1,000 hosts that have registered for the service, for the Rev Share service. People are getting used to the platform and they're comfortable with it. I mean, what we're doing as a company now that we've gotten more critical mass, is going out and seeking advertisers and our own sponsors. That's important aspect to it. And as we start getting more and more sponsors involved in the network, there'll be more revenue sharing opportunities, and I think you'll see more people coming into it. I mean, we don't pay hosts to do shows on Blog Talk Radio, but they're using our tools and coming back and promoting our network and themselves, because that's what they're seeking, to get engagement in their own communities, whether they're authors or they're doing internet marketing or they're consultants in certain fields and so on. So I see that increasing as we begin getting more traction, as we get more traction on sponsorships.
Alan, Bob Z in the web chat, you can probably see this, is wondering, where is the click to talk button? I was kind of wondering that myself.
The click to talk button is on the show page. So if you just simply scroll up on the show page here, next to the call-in number, you'll see a little icon that says click to talk.
Okay.
And that's it. You just simply click, listener, if someone like to call in, they can click that button, put in their name, and their name will appear on the switchboard. And that's just some people may want to use a phone. They may be on their cell phone. They want to call in, or they can simply click the talk and put their name will appear in the switchboard itself. So it's quite an effective tool.
Okay. Let me pause for just a second and give out our phone number, because that's part of the attraction here, is that people can call in and talk to the guest. No one ever wants to talk to the host, but they always want to talk to the guest. The number is 646-595-3135, and if you want to give that click to talk button a try, feel free. I got a couple questions here from the web chat. It's moving very quickly now, and I can't keep up. Wait a minute.
You can scroll back. That's okay.
I'm trying to do that. Let me see. They're just going crazy here. I think one of the questions was, who are the main competitors for Blog Talk Radio? Well,
we're kind of in a unique place. There's one other company called TalkShoe, which is a platform that's more geared towards podcasters, and I think only until recently they allowed you to. It requires no download for the host or a listener to participate in the show. They started out earlier than we did, and I think we've had far more traction than they have so far. Other than that, there really isn't anyone competing in our space. There are certain web streaming video platforms like Ustream and Blog TV, but they're limited in a number of things. And one of them, because the key component, of course, is the ability to have these types of conversations that we're having now, where I'm in a location and you're in another location and we're talking, and other people can call in from yet a third or fourth location. So there's really not much competition to what we're doing. And in large part is because of the phone network and how we've built this technology. It's just it would be very hard for someone to replicate it, and to date, really no one has.
Is one of the applications of doing this that you were mentioning about corporate customers for the technology? I mean, if I'm Corporation A, can I go in and reserve an hour and then use it as a conference calling tool that's not broadcast, or is it all necessarily broadcast?
Well, you can take an hour on the network, and you can do it a broadcast. You can treat it as private, and it won't appear in our programming guide, and you could advise people to go onto the show. There's some very key differences between the main network that you're part of, and my show is part of, and the stations, which are more corporate in nature. On the main network, we have a right to use the content. There's a right to use agreement. You're using our tools for free, and we have the ability or the right to syndicate the content or advertise in it as we desire. A lot of companies are interested in owning their own content and controlling the advertising unit. So that's an important element for a company that's using our tools on the free network versus the sponsored network. So that would be one big difference.
And then coming back to something I asked you before, I mean, is the company profitable at this point, or is it heading in that direction, or what's the benchmark for you on that?
Right. So the company is not profitable yet. I think Blog Talk Radio, it's kind of like building a house. Not a house. It's building an apartment building or an office building. You have to build a building, and you've got to build it out. You need to build out the foundation, and you need to put the elevators in, and you need to scale it. You need engineering and architecture, and then you're building it out. And that's what Blog Talk Radio is about now. We're building this platform. We're building this house, this apartment, this building. And so therefore, when the building's complete, we have the ability to lease it out and rent it out. And there's value that's created. So that's how I view it. I'm a business builder, and we're building a new media platform. So I'm not focused on extracting every last penny we can from this network, and that's why I maintained it's free. It's a free platform, and it's important to keep it that free, and I really aim to do that as long as we can.
Well, do you think there'll ever come a point where there'll be different plateaus or platforms within Blog Talk? Here's the entry level that's free. Here's the next level that's, we charge you a little bit for, but you get different tools. And then, here's the Blog Talk Radio Pro to use the.
Yes, that definitely will occur. And, there will be different levels. There'll be a premium package, and for that you'll be able to use some of our other tools. Like, for example, we have a call screening tool that we developed, and that call screening feature is available for our station customers, where if you have a call, you could have a producer screen that call and put them back on the switchboard. That tool is not available for our main network. I think we'll also create an area on the site which is like a membership area to get more featured status, to feature your shows. Now that we're close to 100,000 episodes, it is hard to get visibility on the site, and we can create a membership area, and people can participate in that, and so on. So I do see us evolving towards a different scale and different models, and but you need to do that in time as you're building your audience and your user base, and where it makes sense to do that. So I would envision seeing that later this year, towards the end of the year.
Now, the video kind of slipped in, video that I'm on and now waving to everybody again on. Will there be a kind of a reciprocal video? I mean, will there be a time where I'll be able to see Media Lizzie and Fly Lady and John Sweet? Will I be able to see video from them while they're listening to the show? Well,
I think we've thought a lot about video, and a lot of people, as we've been building Blog Talk Radio, particularly in the early days, they said to me, well, you're not going to make it. You're not doing video. I said, I don't agree. I think there's just so many great conversations that can be had by using a tool like Blog Talk Radio, and of course we have them, in so many places on the site. But I do think video is should be a part of Blog Talk Radio. And what we will do, and we are working on a video platform, but the video platform will be synced up with our audio platform, where again, if you want to have the Fly Lady call in or be part of the show, then she'll be able to participate, and I'll be able to participate, and everything will be synced up, as opposed to having the audio originate from a webcam, which to me is just not high quality. Another point about videos, I really don't want a website where I've got two young teenagers web chatting, and it's on now my homepage or it's on a on-air page. I don't think it's relevant, and I mean, there are other places for that. So I see high-end video. If you've got some very notable people on your shows. If we had Dennis Miller on last week, I love to have Dennis Miller on video. If we have he's got a webcam, the feed could be there, and you could be as the host, and people will see you and he chatting with one another.
Well, that's what I was kind of wondering about. We've done a couple. I've done a couple of video interviews for Mr. Media, and the problem in getting higher quality guests for that seems to be that we're talking about when we're talking about TV and film people, is that the publicists and the studios that are involved, they don't want to expose their talent to the webcam, the inferior webcam quality. It'd be great to be able to do something with a higher level of video where I could be interviewing you, and people listening or watching could watch us interact on a side by side kind of screen. That would be great. I love what we have now. Don't get me wrong, but once you have something, you're always thinking about how it could be better.
I think that also if we would open this up in video, because we will have the application, it's probably going to have to be a pay model, or at least it's it's for the corporate product, or if people want to use it, because the cost of video streaming is much higher. And again, I want to provide a robust platform and product, and if people feel comfortable paying for it, then fine. If not, then they certainly could use our base platform.
Here's a question from the web chat. 23EJ wants to know if there are plans to link with other web-based tools.
Well, we do link with other web-based tools. I'm not sure which ones, and maybe you can put them in the chat room. I see the question over there. We do use, of course, chat here. We use UserPlane, which has not been working great. We're looking at other applications for that, as well as working with the folks at UserPlane to try to get some stability on their chat tool. We're going to be working with Twitter, where you can Twitter out your messages. Or that your shows are airing live. The Twitter application will be sitting there. But we've really built a lot of the tools. One of the greatest tools we have is the Gigya widget, which I don't know if you're using, but that resides inside a profile page, and you simply you can copy and paste the code for your show, Flash Player code, on any of your social profiles, and that's a tool that we've developed in conjunction with a widget called Gigya, Gigya.
Oh, you know what? Ironically, I did that yesterday. I had not really, it's one of those things where you something sounds great, but you don't quite understand it. So I waited and I waited. Then yesterday I looked at that and I thought, I could probably figure out how to do this. So yeah, I put the player for Mr. Media on Vox, on Facebook, on let me see. I don't know, a whole bunch of places. And, suddenly that all kind of made sense to me. I get that. I was wondering, I was glad to hear Twitter, as someone who's become a more recent devotee of Twitter. I think that would be great. I'd love to have some connection with LinkedIn, particularly for people who are doing this a little more professionally, more business-based than hobby-based.
What would you envision that LinkedIn... because they're kind of a closed system. They now have a news feed that's there. I don't even know if the player code can be embedded on a LinkedIn page. We haven't really done much work with LinkedIn.
Well, they do have LinkedIn groups now, so there could be a LinkedIn BTR group, or I imagine it could be arranged to, in the same way that Gigya puts the players on Facebook and Vox and other places. I can't imagine it'd be that complicated. For people who have a show to put it on their player. One of the notes on my desk right now is to add Blog Talk Radio to my profile on LinkedIn, and I thought, it'd be great if I could have the player on there too.
Right. Okay.
So just a thought. let me give out the phone number again. I know we've got a lot of people in the web chat, and I know there's a lot of people listening. Give us a call. Ask Alan a question. 646-595-3135. Oh, look at this. Yeah, here you go. 23EJ says, LinkedIn, great. I found 3 hosts on it. Yeah, I'm a big LinkedIn guy. I guess, the thing with LinkedIn and Twitter and Blog Talk Radio is if you're just coming to it with a very basic sense of, I surf the web, even as simple as the tools are, they're not that instinctive. Kind of like the difference between a PC and a Mac used to be, and it's probably still close to. Mac I always found was very intuitive. You just sat down at it. You didn't need a manual, and it just worked. And a PC, well, that took a little more thought, and you needed a book and a crew of people to support you. Some of the services are still not quite as intuitive that way, I don't think.
No, I agree. We've spent a lot of time trying to. These are very complex sets of tools and infrastructure we've built on Blog Talk Radio, and we've tried to really dumb it down. Not talking about our hosts, of course, but just to make it easy. Just to make it easy for people to understand what to do and how to do it. Try to make it as intuitive as possible. We're redesigning a lot of the site now in terms of search and layout and the user experience, and when that's done, we're going to start building, doing screencasts and some video tutorials to help people. And we're getting, lots and lots of new people on here all the time. But with Blog Talk Radio, once you do it, you've mastered the tools pretty much after a couple of times, let's say, and that shouldn't be a problem.
After a couple of times, I was going to say, yeah, I think some of your employees will tell you that it's taken me a couple of times. I keep making new mistakes each time. We've got a couple of calls here. Let's go to the first one. Hi, do you have a question or a comment for Alan Levy? Hello.
Is it area code 828?
Yes, it is.
That's you.
This is Fly Lady.
Hey, Fly Lady.
Hi, Marla. How are you?
I'm good. I hadn't talked to you in a while.
I know. Marla's
I have to do it on Blog Talk Radio.
Exactly. Marla is the Fly Lady, Bob. I'm sure you've seen her name and her logo bandied about on the site.
I have. Marla, what's your take on all this? You've done pretty well with your program. You draw a lot of listeners. How did you get involved in this, and what's your take on all this?
Amy sent me an email and said, "You want to be a part of Blog Talk Radio?" And I said no.
Right.
And then something happened with the other internet radio show that I was doing. I wasn't streaming live, and in 15 minutes, Nikki had me up a show, and we were running. And I haven't stopped since, have I, Alan?
Not at all. Marla called me over in the summer, and she was heading to Alaska with her Flybaby convention or something, and she said, "This is the Fly Lady." She said, "I heard of you. I think we reached out to you, and you never got back to us." "Oh, yeah, that was me." And she says, "I was a guest on her show. Would you please explain to me what you do here?" I think I took you through it in 5 minutes. She said, "That's it. I'm here now." Okay. I was going to do this myself, but it seems like you already did it. So.
Yeah, I was getting ready to build my own radio station in my office so that I could do internet radio. I'd come up with a way. And he built it for me. I was just so happy that I didn't have to do this on my own. I didn't have to be in control, or I still do, but.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is this with Marla's community, she's 500,000 Yahoo group members. So this is the first time, really, that she did have the other radio network, but with Blog Talk Radio, she's able to communicate and get calls. She takes calls. She does her show on Thursday afternoons. Marla, you're getting calls from beginning to show to end over 3 hours.
Oh, it goes on and on. Yesterday, I did an amazing show debuting a new CD by a group, Ryan Shoup and the Rubber Band, that debuted yesterday. They're under the Montage label out of Nashville. And we did a live show with them. Spur of the moment, I played it on my show, and then I played it on our show last night, Alan. Did you get a chance to listen to our show?
Not yet. I'm going to.
But these guys were so excited. I think I've talked them into doing a Blog Talk Radio show.
Marla, tell folks a little bit about what your show's about for people who've seen the name but don't know it.
Well, I'm real bossy, if you hadn't heard that. I try to help people establish routines for their life so that they can find out what they want to be when they grow up, where their happiness is, where their peace is. And with these simple little routines, it opens up the world to them.
Huh. And do you find that, I was going to ask Alan about this too, but do you find that you listen to a lot of Blog Talk Radio shows? I mean, if you're doing a 3-hour show, you're a little busy, but do you listen to a lot of shows?
Well, I have a station and a 24/7 channel on Blog Talk Radio, so I try to listen to the content. What I like best is to subscribe to the shows and have them on my podcast, have them downloaded to my iPod so that I can listen to them when I'm driving in the car and different things. That way I hear what other people are doing. Yes, I do like to listen to other shows. I'm listening to yours right now.
And we appreciate it. Has it become, do you operate as is it a hobby? Is it a business for you? Is it something in between?
It started out as just some way to help people in 1999. And in 2001, I built my first website. And Fly Lady needed to fly all on her own. My husband was doing a great job of helping me, but he said, she's got to pay her own way. So we have a fly shop, and we sell some tools in our fly shop. But do you need a rubber scrubber? We're taking going green to a purple level. We've got some great products. We like to call them tools, and they sell, and I get to put 25 people to work, and half of Alan's crew.
Right. Not right, but
they're at my beck and command. I feel like they work with me.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, because one of the things I found is that the people who do work for the channel, John Sweet, Amy Domestico, Hillary, Lee Wong, Nikki, up until recently Luke Armour. I mean, what's amazing to me is that it's. And I'm not paid by Alan. I want to point this out. I'm not on the staff whatsoever. I really have a great appreciation for the customer service aspect and the desire to see a show like mine, I guess a show like yours, succeed and draw audience. That there's a bigger picture here.
Well, every one of them have been so sweet, so kind, and helpful. Whenever I have an issue, they're right there. I mean, I have his people on my instant messenger and Skype like he has them on his, and if there's an issue, they fix it immediately. Because I've been known to break things occasionally, especially when we had the old platform, didn't I, Alan?
Yeah, no, that's true. I think that's one of the things that has amazed me, and I'm grateful to our employees, and they're amazing, all of them, the ones you mentioned and the ones you didn't mention. They're just terrific. And they're all, the other thing interesting about Blog Talk Radio, there's no office. I mean, we're a virtual company. Hillary's in L.A., John Sweet is in, Michigan or Georgia. I'm in New Jersey. Marla's in North Carolina. Yeah. I think.
Hello.
Yeah, John.
Alan?
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
everybody
you
dropped out? Yeah, I can hear you.
How about me?
Okay.
Okay, now I can hear you. I don't know, it seemed like everybody dropped out for a second.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Alan.
I saw John Sweet in the chat room over there, so maybe he's there doing some testing or something. But you can hear me fine now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Great, okay. So the point I was making is that the people are really amazing, and you kind of get this in your blood, and I think that's what happens with a lot of the people affiliated with Blog Talk Radio hosts. They just on it. They're here. It's in their blood, and more and more people that get exposed to it just see the power of it, and that it empowers people, and they just get hooked. It's like you're smitten by this. It's interesting how it's worked. So we're very excited about it. And let me point out Media Lizzie also, who's in the chat room, who's handling Heading Right and doing a wonderful job now. When we were doing some partnerships with AOL. So the staff just great. I mean, the people and everyone. It started with Amy. Amy was employee number one. I never knew her. I have never even met Amy. Remarkably, it's kind of the joke. So Amy's amazing, and she helped us, for example, get the Pentagon in as a host.
Well, I'm eternally grateful to her because I can put this in perspective. Doing Mr. Media on my own from February '07 through December '07, had about 30,000 downloads. Doing it on Blog Talk Radio seriously I've done it since December, but really seriously, basically from February until May, we're looking at 15,000 downloads, which is, it's remarkable to me, and it's growing now. I'm not at the rate that maybe the Fly Lady show is, but I'm just amazed, and I don't think there's any way I would have reached this many people and as technologically easily as I have, and so I appreciate it. And part of the reason I wanted to have you on today was to give a little voice to those feelings and talk to you a little about it. Fly Lady, I really appreciate you taking time to call in.
Well, it was my pleasure to talk with you, and this is such a wonderful platform. I'd like to thank Alan personally, as I have many times, for this platform. I had the displeasure last night of going over to an NPR station to do a 30-minute interview, and I looked at this man and I said, "Why are you still here? Why aren't you doing Blog Talk Radio?" And he looked at me like, "What is that?" And I explained it to him. I think he checked it out last night, because why do we need terrestrial radio anymore when all of us have computers and all of us have iPods? This is my feeling, my personal opinion, and
I'm with you.
I appreciate you very much.
Thank you for those words, Marla.
Thanks for calling in, Marla.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's an interesting clip. I recommend people check it out, and it's somebody by the name of Clay Shirky. Shirky, I think is his name, and he wrote if you can Google it, and he did a video clip at Web 2.0. There's a Web 2.0 clip in San Francisco called Cognitive Surplus, talking about this enormous amount of time that has been spent on TV that was dedicated to advertising and commercials, and that the audience is, of course, fragmented, and where these people, even if a small percentage of those viewing hours shifted, it would have a huge, huge impact on social media platforms and on the web. And with Blog Talk Radio being one of those platforms that can be the recipient of this cognitive surplus. So so Google Cognitive Surplus. It's very interesting.
All right. Well, I imagine there's a lot of keyboards flipping right now. Let me point out we've got an open line now. If anyone wants to call in, ask a question, or talk to Alan, 646-595-3135. What about you? I asked the Fly Lady. Let me ask you, Alan. Do you have any other programs that you like and that you particularly recommend? And I know you want to be careful not to offend anybody here, like Dr. Blogstein, who just
I was just about to say, Dr. Blogstein was one of my favorite shows, and that's quite interesting. He appeared in the Switchboard. Just as I was about to say, Dr. Blogstein is one of my favorite shows. Dr. Blogstein, we're in the process of launching a comedy channel, and Dr. Blogstein is helping us run that comedy channel, and he does a great show, and it's a very professional show, and he had a great deal of success on his show. So we've been very pleased with Dr. Blogstein. I listen to a lot of different shows. I listen to Media Lizzie. I listen to the political shows, the sports shows. There's a tremendous number of shows, and I have them all, a lot of them as favorites. I mean, they've added me, and I added anyone who adds me as a favorite. I'll add them as a favorite, so I get to listen to a lot of shows. I don't listen to as many shows as I'd like to, because we're generally swamped reaching out for new hosts and new shows and new companies. Hillary is our features editor and does a wonderful job, and we just actually hired someone new to be our director of programming, who, Bob, you should meet at some point. His name is Philip. And so I would recommend that you meet him, Philip Recchia, and he'll be all over this network, and as we build content.
All right. People who are watching the video can see my head is down, and I'm writing that down.
Philip Recchia.
Hey, we've got another call here. Let's go see what this is. Hi. Do you have a question for Alan Levy, founder of Blog Talk Radio?
Hi. This is I Got My Reasons.
Hey, I got my reasons. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, hi, Alan. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Cognitive what? What's the no TV thing?
Cognitive surplus.
Surplus. I like that. That's very...
Cognitive surplus. It's just huge amount of time that is just available for attention that's going to be shifting from the TV, from TV viewing to the web. Cognitive surplus.
Yeah, that is totally true, too. I mean, I haven't had a TV for like the past 10 years. So I know that I spend a lot of time on the net and doing things and reading and doing other stuff besides TV. So that's definitely true. And I like go ahead.
Let me just mention one other thing. There's a blog, and you can write this down. And his name is Jeremy Jeremy Zawodny Zawodny, and that's where the video clip is held. Jeremy Zawodny. So it's jeremy.zawodny.com, and he's got this cognitive surplus video there, and it's about 10 minutes long. And it's very good, and someone pointed it out to me yesterday. And I'm going to hopefully have this individual who, at least Jeremy, on my show in June, and perhaps even the person who did the video we're going to talk to as well.
Sweet.
The author. So.
Well, I wanted to call into, I wanted to say that I really like Mr. Media's show. I've only listened to about 3 of them, but he has great guests, and I wanted to personally say hi to Alan because we've busted on him on our show. And I also called to promote my show, which is one of the few that's both on the comedy. I think it's the only one that's both on the Comedy Channel and the Heading Left channel, the lefty, dirty lefty channel.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And it's called I Got My Reasons. And when do you do your show?
It's Thursday night, 8 p.m., and Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay, good. Do you have a blog also that you promote or you post the player to?
Yeah, you can go to gatesreport.com.
Okay.
And we do have IGotMyReasons.com is up now. Right now it's just a player, so if you want to go there and press refresh a few hundred times, we'd love that. And,
okay.
Right? And but we're gonna add more content to it soon, so check that out.
All right. Well, thanks very much for calling, and I appreciate the kind words about Mr. Media as well. That's very nice of you.
Okay. All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
That's always nice. Nice to hear a good word here and there.
Yes, it is.
There are. I've got this. I've got these numbers I wanted to share. This is off of your own blog on Blog Talk Radio, and I thought this was fascinating. If no one has seen, if people haven't seen this, they should check it out. It's Alan Levy blog on Blog Talk Radio. You say that these are the stats for April. 11,000 shows broadcast and archived. A total of 2.99, let's just call it 3 million listeners in April. 2,700 different hosts completed at least one show. 67,000 unique shows listened to in April. 87,000 unique shows in the long tail. I mean, the numbers are really amazing.
You know, I think they are. I mean, obviously, in the world of 100 billion video impressions, of course, you never know how to measure them. It's who knows. But I agree with you. I thought that the numbers for April, they were just very interesting, and the few that really stuck out to me were the number of hosts, separate hosts, 2,800 or 3,000 individuals or companies doing a show or creating content. That's very, very interesting, and we continue to see more and more of this growing, and that's just the power of this democratized network, the Citizen Broadcast Network, because remember that these 3,000 individuals, or whomever they are promoting their show and our network at the benefit of the other 3,000 individuals. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very interesting stat. And the other one that really stuck out to me was the concept of the 67,000 shows listened to at 87,000. The long tail at work, which, again, it just means that, you do a show 3 or 4 months ago, 6 months ago, people, you're going to get a listener to that show. So it's just, it's available, the content is available, and we're really focusing more now on indexing it and even having better searching capability. But yeah, those numbers, I'm pretty excited given where we started, which was no shows, no content. I was doing I was doing about 4 shows a day. We had 1 page in the program guide, and Amy came in around 2 weeks after I started, and those are fun times, I have to say. I couldn't get anyone to listen to a show at all.
As a fan, what guests have turned up on Blog Talk Radio shows that has gotten you excited?
Oh, that's a lot. There's a few formative events that occurred. So, for example, one of the shows that really excited me was Jennifer Hudson. You know, Jennifer Hudson came on. We were doing some shows on American Idol, and this was the first show that we didn't know how many people would call in to a big show. And ultimately, I think we had 1,500 live listeners to that show with very little promotion. And we don't have the benefit of having a big PR agency, or at that time, certainly we had no PR agency, and we had no capacity internally to promote these things. So that was an important show because it also showed that we were able to handle this traffic and the volume of a large show. Other shows that I was fascinated by was Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone was on a show a while ago where some young guy who was a huge fan of Oliver Stone, lives in L.A., his name is Jason, he's a teenager, somehow convinced Oliver Stone to do a show. And he's generally generally doesn't do these types of shows. The other ones, of course, having John McCain on 3 times, Hillary, Thompson, Giuliani, all the presidential candidates. That's been one of the things that has amazed me with Blog Talk, is the content. Yoko Ono, Brad Pitt, the people that have found their way onto this network is really remarkable.
I was going to ask you, and I got my reasons. I think made reference to his show. I guess it's a left-wing. I don't mean lefty in a derogatory way, but I don't know what your personal politics are. But do you ever feel uncomfortable with the very strong left and very strong right people that have shows on the network? And do you ever wish you could you step in and go, that's a little strong for me?
Well, I really wanted to have, one of the things that just infuriated me about, it still does about media, major media or traditional media, is the polarization. And these are polarized networks. Fox is more conservative. The CNN is more liberal or more progressive. Blog Talk Radio is both. And I think it's important to have a balanced platform. Why not? Now, we also, as you point out, I mean, there can be, and there have been in the past times where there's hate mongering, and that's clearly in breach of our terms. I mean, we will not allow hate mongering or hate organizations to use this as a platform. And we're very diligent in this area. We're constantly seeing what's blogging. I myself, I'm checking what's blogging. One of the interesting things is that while we do see what's going on in the network, we have 450 shows a day now, pretty much. So we see what's going on in the network. But if we've got a host that has, a show full of hate, they're going to want to promote it, and they tend to blog about it. And when they blog about it and they reference Blog Talk Radio, well, we see it and we nip it in the bud. We cancel these shows. So I will not accept that. We're now too far left or too far right. I mean, we've had the KKK. I guess that's pretty far right. So we canceled some former KKK guys come on. I mean, too far left. Again, I think we have to be judicious, but again, we have to be careful. We just are not going to allow to have this as a platform for people that are spewing hate, and we do have the right to cancel any show as we need to.
I just want to let you know and let people who might be trying to call in know that someone in the web chat has indicated that they're trying to call in and the phone is saying the phone is not in service. So
maybe that has happened before, but if John Sweet's in the box, they should try again. And if not, try Click to Talk. Let's see how that's working for you. Okay. Maybe that'll work better.
Yeah. Well, let me give out the number one more time as we kind of wind down here our last 10 minutes. Keep trying. 646-595-3135. We'd love to have you call in. I did send John a message, and now he's asking what's happening. I think, it's kind of hard to talk and type at the same time. All right, here's a call. Let's see. Hi there. Do you have a question for Alan Levy?
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm calling you from London in England.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, and I'm a big fan, and I think you're absolutely right. People are turning away from the TV and moving to this sort of platform, and it is an excellent platform. I don't have a show myself, but I do enjoy listening. My question that I have is, Alan, are you going to cash in your chips and sell out to sort of traditional media anytime soon?
That's an interesting question. No, I think the answer to that is no. I'm not selling out anytime soon. I mean, at some point, it may make sense for Blog Talk Radio to be part of, let's say, a larger platform that has more reach. I'm convinced that this can change the way people communicate around the world. I mean, you're in London now. You could be potentially using the click-to-talk or calling in using VoIP or Skype or whatnot. I think that this is a very, very powerful technology, and we have figured a way, I believe, in still the early stages, but to create very engaging content. And I do think it's going to be a test. It's going to be a example for many media companies to see, how you can actually get something done on the web. And I think the message here is, democratize it, bring people in. The users should be participating, and I think that's what we do. And I think we do add a lot of value to the hosts.
I think there was some. Sorry, I think there was some speculation that with the sort of the auto play that you were racking up hits, and that in so doing that this is something that you can take to big media like CBS or whoever and say, look, I've got this fantastic medium going with all these listeners, and I'd like to cash in, please.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, autoplay is a separate matter. I mean, we have some hosts do run autoplay on their pages, and it's similar to radio. I mean, when you turn the dial on a radio, you hear music, or you hear something. You hear talk radio, right? When you turn the dial. Well, autoplay essentially is the same thing. When you go to a website, you hear content. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to do that, and so that's one issue. Now, we got to inflating our numbers as a result of impressing a media company. No, I don't think that's not in our thinking whatsoever. There's no question. I mean, the fact that we can do what we do and the technology works, and we've been able to create this enormous amount of content, and people coming back and are seeing, their voices heard and seeing their use go up. It's just is more than enough. So I don't think that's not the case where we're trying to increase numbers to sell the company. No, in fact we're in the process of raising capital and building Blog Talk Radio. I was very fortunate in my telecom days as an entrepreneur, and I stopped working. I created this company when my dad became ill, and we've now come across something that is very powerful. So I want to see it to fruition. I want to see this build and grow, and I think most people involved with it want to see it as well.
Well, that's a relief, because I think you've really touched on something and given people a voice who probably haven't been heard in a very long time. And by having it where you're just this neutral medium, and that people can be as far right-wing or as far left-wing within reason as they please, that's what is so attractive about the medium. But thank you very much.
Thank you for calling.
Thanks for the call. I've got two more questions for you in the time remaining, Alan. And it comes back to programming, really. First of all, what are some of the common mistakes that new hosts make when they start hosting the show?
Well, a new host, it takes time to plan these shows. You just simply can't schedule a show on 8 p.m. on a Monday evening and just start talking, and people are just not going to listen to it. And a lot of time, and we've done this on purpose, actually. When we created the platform, we wanted people to put effort into it. One of the platforms that I was familiar with when we first launched was Skypecast, and they were the first company that I had noticed to do anything remotely similar. Of course, you needed to have Skype as a client, to have the software downloaded first. But what really troubled me about Skype was that Skypecast is that people were setting up shows and never appearing there. And we were very diligent, even though in the early days when I needed every host we could get, Well, we couldn't. We cut them off if they wouldn't show up to do their shows. So we put in safeguards against that, and I think that was something that was very helpful. So people need to spend the time, kind of prepare their show, have something important, have something interesting to say, maybe get a co-host, maybe put some bumpers in front of the show, and just think about their conversation and properly promote their show. Put up that player, put up the widget, use the tools that we provide you, and you'll see that your number of listens will grow, and they'll be, as you've seen, much higher than any traditional podcasting platform you had used.
Absolutely. What about, what would you say that, and maybe this is part of what you're saying, but what are the traits of a successful Blog Talk Radio host? The preparation, I guess.
Consistency. That people know that they're going to be, listening to these shows. And they're doing them. They're doing them weekly. They're participating. They're doing their shows on a regular basis. They're getting great guests. They're covering different topics. They're accessible. They're using the widgets and the players. We don't demand that a host puts on the player on their blog or website. In order to participate in RevShare, you do need to have that on your blog or website. But we don't demand it, but we think it's a great idea because that'll just facilitate more listens. So I think those are the common mistakes that we see. But again, it just takes time. We're getting so many more people coming into this platform each month that are participating, and they come in and then they tell people, and those people have something to say, and it just seems to grow on one another.
Are there any topics that are not being covered right now that you think there's an opportunity there?
No, I mean, the list of categories, it's remarkable. We have 75 different categories that have, many download or many shows in them. I think that what Blog Talk Radio, you'll see in Blog Talk Radio later this year, will be, particularly with Philip we're going to start creating our own content, magazine-style shows. We had Bob Franken from CNN was doing shows on Blog Talk Radio. Creating our own newscasts, our own magazine, as I said, our own gossip shows. We are in a position, because it's a live platform, to create content as a new medium. I think there's an opportunity as our brand extends that we're able to do that. And that's going to be a fun time, too, where we're creating content here, not just along with the hosts, but that can be promoted and can utilize the strengths of our platform.
Well, let me throw my hat in right now. I'm interested in that.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to get you in touch with Philip. You certainly are worthy based on your track record here and what you've accomplished. Well,
thanks. I appreciate that. And we're coming down to the end here. So, Alan, I want to just, really thank you for your time today. It worked out great. If some of you tried to call in and couldn't get through, we apologize for that. Got a lot of hosts on here today, so I think you all know that occasionally we hit a bump in the road. But, Alan, thanks so much for giving us this wonderful toy. We enjoyed having you on today.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks, everyone, for listening. It was great.
All right. Take it easy.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye. So you can learn more about Alan Levy and his baby, Blog Talk Radio, of course, at the website, www.blogtalkradio.com. And, of course, for dozens more celebrity, and let's face it, Alan Levy in our community, they don't get any bigger celebrities than that. For dozens more celebrity and media newsmaker interviews, surf over to our main website, www.mrmedia.com. That's where you can listen to my earlier conversations with the stars and creators of Army Wives, 24, The Big Bang Theory, Pearls Before Swine, Tell Me You Love Me, and many others. A lot of those shows also have full transcriptions attached to them. And please, 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 think about writing an online review of Mr. Media or marking Mr. Media as one of your favorites, whether you listen on Blog Talk Radio, Blueberry, Zencast, Odeo, or iTunes. And thanks, folks, for joining us today. I really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. And I hope some of you who were here today for the first time, I hope we'll see you back again very, very soon.